Unless you've been living under a rock for the last 3 weeks, then you've probably heard about Crimson Desert. It's the next game of the year. Or is it? Leading up to the release of this alleged award contender, I found it hard to scroll a screen without seeing some post hyping up this hitherto unheard of game that apparently had, well, everything. Ride the dragons. Check. Explore the vast world. Check. Pet the dogs. Check. But when the media embargo lifted, reviews were less than raving, and people started to question their $70 pre-purchase. However, that only made me more curious to see for myself. So I pulled out my wallet and jumped in. Someone's got to do it. Or well, a lot of people already have done it, but I figure someone here at Standard Gaming has got to do it. And Jamie only buys indie games for 30 bucks tops, and that's where I come in. So if you like this video, you can let us know by doing things that engage with the algorithm, and maybe one day we can make our Crimson Desert money back. Expectations were high when it came to Crimson Desert, and to be blunt, they didn't exactly stick the landing. If you come into the game taking the hype at face value, you're gonna have a bad time. But I love a good gaming comeback story, and despite the experience straining under clunky controls, a less than user-friendly UI, and a been there, done that story that can be confusing or worse, boring, I've actually really enjoyed the experience of playing it. The game does not hold your hand. Whether that is a good thing or a bad thing depends on the person playing. It is a jumping in the deep end kind of situation where everything kind of feels bad. The controls are not what you'd expect, and you're in this massive world where you know nothing. But to me, it almost felt like this unintuitive start was an intentional part of the onboarding process by the devs. There is one prologue section that acts as a tutorial of sorts, but for the most part, you need to find your footing in character. The first mechanic you are really introduced to is the knowledge system. You need to pick up every item to learn what it is, and this system quickly gives you an idea of what to expect in the coming hours. Is this a wooden plate? Yes. It is a wooden plate. It's slow at first, but the more you play and engage with these systems and controls, the more they begin to gel together and feel normal. Except for looting. Looting really just feels bad, and you'll be doing a lot of it. Every item has to be picked up individually, in an extremely immersive world with 1,000 items everywhere. The clunks, it's like a janky blanket. A janket, over lots of systems that you engage with constantly. Looting, gathering materials, using tools, interacting with the environment. For some reason, all of these things require pinpoint precision and lineups. You almost have to aim train to pick things up. First you need to focus, and then inch along until you hover over the item you want to pick up, and then press the pickup button, and hope you don't move a little before the button press registers. Yeah, it can be frustrating. It is the type of friction that I'd normally attribute to a GTA roleplay server, or something where the focus isn't on gameplay. Now, I did spend a majority of my time playing with a controller, but the point still stands. I think you could get an equally immersive experience without the frustrations by just walking up to a gatherable with the correct tool and pressing the prompt. But I see what they're doing here. It is a massive sandbox, and they will be damned if you don't feel like you have all the options in the world. Even if that means swinging a hammer at a stake over and over because you keep moving an inch too much at the last second. But that is probably the clunkiest part of the game, and to the devs' credit, the first couple of patches do address some of the control clunk. Everything else started to feel fine after a couple of hours of playtime, and I think that really speaks to the immersion factor this game brings. As you play, you start to notice details that are small but really add up. For example, I found this helmet, and after equipping the helmet, my character's voice sounds different.
You're telling me to jump?
I don't aim to disappoint.
Or the fact that you can grill your meat by reflecting light with your sword. Those things really distract you from the clunk of it all and ground you in this vast world. And goddamn, this game can be pretty. I know there have been some memes making fun of the low-def waterfalls in that first section, but hey, they addressed it in the first patch. And even though the graphics are generally crisp, I'd argue that they aren't what make the game stand out anyway. It's the way that you would choose to engage with that beauty that really makes it special. The fact that you can always climb to a high point and look around you and see this seemingly endless world is kind of crazy. It really invites you to explore and get lost in the world in the way that is seemingly intended. It's one of those games that you can just lose hours of your time in the snap of a finger. Welcome to ADHD City, baby!
There I was on the side of a mountain, mining some iron to upgrade my gear. In the distance, a tower. I start to climb to garner a better view, inadvertently startling a herd of deer. I wish to ride one. I pursue on foot, no match for the swiftness of a woodland creature. I stumble across a herd of goats. As a proxy, I'll grab one of those instead. To my right, I see a smoking structure. Drawn to it, I set my goat down and investigate.
What was I saying again? Oh, right. The dev's intent for immersion. Nothing showcases it better than the goddamn lantern. It acts as a guide in this massive world, allowing you to find secrets and a general direction, but in that process, it might just blow out your retinas. This is because they coded real light physics into the game. You know that thing when you walk into a building on a bright sunny day and you need to pause for a minute to let your eyes adjust? Well, that's in the game. It's called dark adaptation, and it's when your pupils dilate to let more light in. And why is it in the game? Okay, devs, I get it. Consider me immersed. I feel like most people came into the game expecting some single-player story-driven RPG, and while it does have those aspects, that's not what the game is at its base, and I think that's a big part of why it was on shaky legs the first couple of days. On the podcast Dropped Frames, Will Powers, the director of marketing over at Pearl Abyss, clarified that the game was not an RPG, but rather an open-world action sandbox. And if you go into the game with that as your expectation, things open up wildly. When you pick up that unknown object and learn that it is indeed a wooden plate, you start to understand the depth of the sandbox. The devs really want you to get down and dirty, digging around and finding things you wouldn't expect. I think that reflects in the growing Steam ratings over time. People are starting to receive dividends on the hours they put in. I myself have put in a good amount of hours and have not left the first zone. Every time I try to make progress in the story, well, I find something that takes me down a non-linear path, and that differs for people. This game really rewards you for finding your own journey. If you want to sit in an area like me and grind for zone completion, that's valid. But if you want to rush to other areas and explore the reaches, that's valid as well. This is the crown jewel of the game, the freedom to explore and choose your own adventure. Sure, the onboarding is clunky and the setup is very MMO. You know, main character dies, meets a mysterious person beyond the veil who gives them powers. They immediately accept that's how things are now and never question it again. In fact, a lot of things are never really talked about in the story. During side quests, a lot of the characters would bring up these rocks that fell from the sky and not explain them. I'm still not sure exactly where they were introduced, but I think I found one of them. It's here, in this house, which has a crane outside that you can seemingly use to lift it. Except I think I'm too dumb to use it. No, seriously, I've spent way too much time here trying to get this thing to work, but no luck so far. I have since figured out that the rocks are somehow connected to your powers and the artifacts you find around the world. Maybe that's why we have powers. I'm still not 100% sure. In lieu of a great and compelling story, they chose to make a great sandbox instead. Crimson Desert lays out tools for you to use and then kind of just says, have at it. This is shown throughout the world in the form of puzzles, but also in the skill tree. You can take your skills and weave them together to do some really cool shit. Computer, please play the really cool shit montage.
Now playing the cool shit montage.
I wanna taste the pain. I think I'm seeing all red. 2 bullets in the gun, 1 shot to the head. I need a blank space. 'Cause everything is a threat. But I never back down, man. I'd rather be dead. I'm making love to face. She look better in bed. And I'ma rock this life till I take my last breath. I wanna make a change. I got 1 life left, so I'm gonna go down swinging. Don't you forget.
Anyway, on to one of the more controversial topics, AI art. Do I really need to say more? I mean, look at it. Is that a horse? Or a man? Or a man horse? I don't like it. The devs have since released a statement claiming that these are placeholders that never got replaced and will be replaced in the future, and I'm gonna leave it at that. If I haven't made it clear yet, this is not a game you should buy unless you're well aware of what you're signing up for. If you need a path made for you, then this is not the game for you. It is too easy to stray from it and end up lost. However, if you are a player who thrives when lost in the woods and while following every new exciting thing without losing purpose, then this game has the potential to be one of those games you sink hours and hours into. It certainly aspires to be like some of the greats, as they have yoinked and twisted certain elements from many. The sandbox nature from Breath of the Wild, the world building from the Witcher series, the scale of world from Elden Ring, and the combat from Assassin's Creed. And while the game does fall short when held up in comparison to one of those, it has the potential to grow to great heights. The framework is there, and with a dev team that listens and seems quick to respond, I could see this becoming a classic. Ultimately, while I wouldn't suggest spending $70 on this blindly, the game truly does offer that level of value. It is the kind of experience where the more hours you invest, the more its worth becomes apparent. You just have to be willing to grind through the clunkiness of it all. And if I'm being honest, on occasion, I caught myself kind of enjoying some of the clunky parts. But maybe that's a me problem. Yeah, that's probably a me problem. If you know what this rock is and how to get it out of this house, please let me know. Until then, I'm Reeves, and thanks for watching Standard Gaming.